This episode of Super Pulp Science has been brought to you by Pachakucha, a speaking series that Gregory Kmichuk, Justin Curry, and Sam Biko will be participating at in Winnipeg on February 20th. They're going to be back-to-back as well, so I think they're going to be ripping each other apart. It'll be a great show. Join us at the Park Theater. Doors open at 7:30.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
Hello, everyone. This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. My name is Gregory Kmichuk, and this is my long-suffering co-host, Justin Curry.
Hello.
I think you can tell by now that I am not Gregory Kmichuk, although my voice does sound nice and deep and smoky and could pass for him. And I was going to do a whole thing where I pretended to be him for the first 5 minutes, but I really can't do it because he just texted us to say, I missed the podcast, and it tugged on my last heartstring in my dead, cold heart. So here we are today. Gregory is not here. He is off in the wilds promoting something that he spoke about on one of the last episodes, or not really promoting, but helping with the organization.
Yeah,
for
Gregory's
Red
in Calgary right now. And what are they doing? Like, what is the purpose of the trip?
You know, I don't think that either of us really know.
No.
But this would be a good moment to just speculate.
Okay, speculate.
So let's see. They're taking a hit out on someone who has a lot of money because the arts are woefully underfunded. And the only way to get what you want now is mercenary work. So that's my best guess. I think he's rolling up a body in a carpet right now amidst playing video games with his friend.
Yes, he's staying there with a mutual friend of ours, Tom, who has the most amazing video game room equipped with a huge cauldron of candy in the middle of the table.
Oh my God, yeah.
And
mention this. You haven't eaten candy since then.
I don't think I've eaten that much candy.
You binged real hard.
It was great.
You paid for it.
It was like 9 hours of Resident Evil 7. Is that the one with the one set in the bayou? I think that's one of the new.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, we almost completely beat the game while eating candy the entire time.
Jesus.
It was great.
Were you much younger?
I looked younger, before.
But the candy
and then
just
the candy
weathered you horribly. Oh, well, yeah, so that's where he is right now, so sucks to be him. Yeah. I own the podcast now. His absence is just him ceding his place to me. But today, work does still go on with him gone. And the last little while, we've been working on a completely different project in the studio from what you guys usually work on, which is like illustrated books or, your regular prints. You guys have ventured into the young adult fantasy realm.
Exciting.
That's the sound of us going down some kind of magic portal into commercial land. So actually, young adult fantasy is kind of, I guess it's my purview. That's what I write in. Because also, dear listener, for those of you who haven't heard my dulcet tones on the podcast before, I write primarily young adult series fantasy, traditionally published. And but we also have a mutual friend, Claire Marshall, who we've had on the podcast before, and we've talked about extensively. Yes, she's great. Together with our powers combined with the Silent Guardian series, which is what Gregory and Justin are most known for in their book worlds, with Cassie and Tonk, Rust and Water, and soon Dragon Nanny. They wanted to develop that further using kind of the YA fantasy realm. So that's kind of like chapter books for the uninitiated who are listening to this, and develop that world further. And you hired Claire as a writer on spec.
Yeah, and part of the reason for that is we. Claire is not traditionally published, as most people think. She doesn't have a publisher and whatnot. She does it all herself. She's, self-starter, self-published. And we kept seeing her at all these Comic-Cons with tables like ours, but just selling her young adult novels. And she has a great presence and seems to be doing a great job. And then turns out she's also a pretty wonderful person.
I guess.
She's
my best friend, full disclosure.
So I don't know initially how the idea came up. Was it just we were all out one evening and thought hey, wouldn't it be cool to work together?
Yeah, and I think it's also she's very quick, because in the way, one of the really great things I find about self-publishing is that you can just get the book out a lot faster, and you don't have to rely on a publishing schedule, which is kind of like you need 18 months of a cycle before the book actually comes out. And she could write it and, send it off to be edited, lay it out, package it, and print it, and then she'd be selling it within a couple of months almost. So she has
getting that money, that investment back right away, whereas most publishing deals, the book comes out, you start selling it, but it's a while before you see any royalties.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you after like a 6-month window, you're no longer new because the publisher has to make way for the other titles coming in.
Is that just the way it's always been? Is that just...
Yes, because you constantly have to be having a new publishing schedule coming in. Usually that satisfies like grant scheduling as well.
Okay.
And that's just the sales cycle. But when you're self-publishing, anytime you show up to sell direct to market in the way that you and Gregory do at a convention, you're just selling things directly to people, it's new to someone every single time. And it's been really great because she's been building this brand since I've known her, since 2010, 2011. And people are always asking her, when's the next book in your series coming out? And so, she has repeat customers. She's built a really great brand. And because of that breadth of experience, I think you guys were like, maybe we could do a thing together. And it's very remarkable, but we like each other. After all this time, it's painful to admit because I'm so full of hate, apparently. It's my character on this podcast. And we just figured it would be a great fit. And what's been really cool is that not only has Claire written it, like this couple days ago, she handed in the final manuscript. She met her deadline. But we've also been developing it as she's been writing it. So it's been a very different experience, I think, for me especially as a writer, where, you're very isolated. You just sit down, you have your idea, your plan, and you just do it. But she hasn't been doing it in a bubble. She's been like asking us questions. How could this mechanic work? And you guys have had to field a lot of lore questions.
Yeah, that's been very interesting. The the lore of Cassie and Tonk and the Silent Guardians world, we kind of leave it a big mystery on purpose because I think a lot of my favorite stories and favorite films are the ones that allude to a bigger, grander world with all this complexity. But as soon as you go in and you explain it all, the magic kind of is ruined a little bit, right? Like if you knew the origin story of the Iron Giant, I don't think that film would be nearly as great.
Right.
And they even, like in the deleted scenes, they even have a sequence that shows it's all storyboarded of like they have like it's a war on Mars or something like that, but they cut that all out of the film, and I think that was a good decision. The less you know, the more your readers or viewers' imagination kind of fill in the gaps, and usually they do a better job than if you spell it all out. And so now Claire is we've plunked her into our world, and she's writing a story, but she has questions, and because it's a different medium, it's the written word and not visual, she has to understand how the world works, and so she's had to ask all these questions.
Very hard questions.
Very hard, and we've had to come up with answers for them.
Yeah. Which is, you'd think that wouldn't be as tedious as Justin is making it sound, considering how much fun we did have story breaking on a couple episodes ago. But again, this is a world that you and Gregory built, and you, like you said, you relied on just kind of letting the reader fill in the gaps. But the thing is that for Claire, she doesn't necessarily have to explain it in the book, but she does have to know the answers in her so that she can express it in a way that is still clear. I know that itself sounds like a muddled enigma, but you have to kind of, as the puppet master, you have to know what strings you can pull and how you can express it.
You know, words, blah, 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 like that? Can you do that? Blah, blah, blah? Well, you get the idea anyway.
We're coming back to this world again. So we have Cassie and Tonk, Rust and Water, Dragon Nanny, a couple other books. But we do eventually plan on doing another Cassie and Tonk book. And potentially if this Claire's book is successful as we're all hoping, we'd like to maybe do another novel in this world as well. So if we don't have the basic rules and kind of lore figured out now, it'll be a mess. And I think there's good examples in some movies and shows where, you know, at some point you should have it figured out, or else you'll just keep.
Yeah, you know what's kind of funny? It's a kind of funny segue, but Kingdom Hearts 3 came out recently, and I only played the first one, and I didn't finish it. But I really kind of enjoyed what story I had seen. And then yesterday I watched a 30-minute summary of the story of Kingdom Hearts, and it's so horrifyingly bad in terms of it's just so, I didn't realize there were so many side games. First of all,
Birth by Sleep and
358 over 2 days, all these really stupid titles, and all the story is just, it looks like the writers just had no idea what they had started with, and they were just hodgepodging it.
Yeah.
And it's just a constant hodgepodge. And now I understand why people are just freaking out now that Kingdom Hearts 3 has come out, because they have no idea what this stupid story is going to be now. And so that kind of, after watching that, I was like, I think we've done pretty okay with Claire's book. And what's really interesting is that, while she did write it very quickly, you and her have been talking about it, I think, since Montreal Comic-Con or Ottawa Comic-Con last year.
Yeah, we hung out a bunch in Montreal, and then actually in Toronto at the Fan Expo. After everybody went home, we went out and sat around and just kind of, we story broke and talked about different aspects and stuff like that. And it's been great. She brought so many great ideas that I hadn't considered, and she was a great back and forth, right? Like and that's something I'm discovering the more and more I work on stories and projects with people, is some people you can get along with and brainstorm in a very conducive and constructive manner, and some people you just can't brainstorm with. It's just like the chemistry isn't there. So I was super happy after the sitting down with her a couple times and just seeing that we had the same kind of brainstorming chemistry.
Right, because I was going to ask, how difficult was it for you to kind of hand over the reins of a story that, is kind of, it's very near and dear to you guys, which is evident by the fact that you really want to play in this world a lot. And you just kind of were like, here, Claire, you do it. You do a thing with it now. And there are a lot of people out there who are very precious about their ideas and who do not think like you at all, who are not collaborative and it has to be like this. And if it isn't like this, then there's nothing. No want to work with you. So was that difficult for you guys, or?
No, I don't think I ever had any reservations, because we're familiar with Claire's work and we know she knows what we're doing. And like you said, we're not that precious that, here's, kind of our sandbox, go play in it. I was never too worried about that. And I know what you mean. There's, it made me think of Star Wars, Star Wars hasn't, it's so rigid. I feel like there's 8 levels of people that need to approve every little idea before it could see the page or see the screen. And the whole series just feels constricted. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. I don't like that it doesn't feel like they can expand. And actually, Tolkien stuff I feel the same as well. I've played a couple Lord of the Ring games, and it really bugged me, the fact that they didn't really invent any new characters or any new enemy types, or it's the cave trolls and the orcs and you can't expand past that initial subject matter, and that always bothered me. So I was super excited about the idea of somebody else expanding upon it and almost
reinventing, but still maintaining. So I've read the whole book. Because
I have not. I've only read 3 chapters?
Yes, because that's the only amount of chapters I supplied you guys with. It's my book now.
My mom also read it last night.
Oh, really?
She read the first 3
Really?
chapters.
Can I get a sense of her feedback? Does she have any?
She liked it.
Yeah.
There wasn't no detailed feedback. I'm going to get her notes later today, I think. But,
okay, good. Yeah. Mom, I need a reader's report on my desk.
She also did the dishes at the studio.
No.
I know, that was my reaction.
All right, dear listener. I want to put Gregory Kmichuk on blast, because he's not here to defend himself, because he would make up some kind of excuse, but it is always his turn. And he did not do it. It's fine. Actually, in fact, it might be my turn now that I've put him on blast, and now that I've really thought about who did them last. Oh, poor mom. It's fine. She's the best.
Yeah.
She is also a craft person.
She is.
Would you say that's where you got it from? Where you got the bug to do markets and make stuff?
She never did markets growing up that I can recall, but she was always drawing and always painting and always doing stuff like that. And my great-grandmother as well was a painter, and she had taken some fine arts programs and stuff like that. Yeah, but Mom was always building like playhouses for us or doing something crafty or painting, and yeah, so that was definitely an influence.
Yes, and now she's learning from you because she goes to markets now.
I've told her to go to markets, yeah.
And now she also runs yours.
From time to time,
From time to time.
My parents always come with me to the New York Comic-Con, and in the last couple of years, I've doubled up on some shows, and luckily my parents agree to go off to Halifax and have an adventure and run my table, which is where you met them, right?
Well, yes, it is. And now they're my family.
Yeah.
So I have not only taken Justin's family from him, I have taken this Cassie and Tonk novel. And also as a kind of a roundabout tie up to that, Clare is from Nova Scotia. So at the time when I was in HalCon, while I was hanging out with your parents, I was staying with her sister. Everything is a circle.
It's all a circle.
So yes, I have read the full book because I am the editor on this project. So not only that's kind of why I wanted to chat about it, because being an editor on a project that doesn't yet exist is very interesting. And I also haven't edited a book piecemeal before. So as Claire was writing it, she was just sending me the chapters.
Bit by bit.
Bit by bit. And then as she was writing them, she was like, could this work? Could that work? And she and I had...
Do you feel like that, because you have such a close relationship with Claire, has that been a lot easier?
So just to give a little bit of context, Claire and I attended the same postgraduate course at Humber to get our training in publishing and editorial, and we've been very close since then, so probably 9 years now. We talk every day, even beyond doing this stuff. And as time wore on and the two of us kind of got a better understanding of how we each work, I have edited her novels that are separate from this one. So I've edited her in her Violet Fox series. So I know her writing style, and I know her hang-ups, and I know all that stuff. So it's actually, again, very lucky that she and I are very close, but we're also able to have those frank discussions about her work without kind of feelings getting hurt, because we both understand, because she's an editor as well, that any kind of critical notes or anything like that are there to serve the work. And the work is kind of, you want it to be the best it can be, so that it doesn't really become personal. But that doesn't always happen, in not only when you're editing friends, but even when you're working with clients who you only have a work relationship with. I've had some clients who I've edited and, with my blinders on and with it's not personal, I want the book to the best. And then they write me a long letter saying, I'm sorry I disappointed you. I had to have another extra sessions with my psychologist, and I destroyed them. But I didn't mean to. Again, it was not personal. But it has been, it's been really fun because we've been able to bounce things off of each other, and I can ask her questions that she can't see, because when you're writing this quickly and you're writing on spec, there's a lot that you miss because you're super close to it. So it has been really great. And then I just kind of mainlined. She gave me chapters 1 to 7, and then she was like, I'm just going to finish this book now, and then sent me the rest, and I stayed up until 1 finishing it. And it's really great. It's really great. It's in first stage edits now, so she's going back and doing a bunch of rewrites, and then that's when you'll be able to see the full picture.
Awesome.
It's not an enormous book, which is why it didn't take that long to write, but it did take time to develop, because I think in April was when I had this initial call with her, when she and I were talking about the terms of the contract that you guys wanted to develop with her. It was, I think, a little bit before or after Calgary Expo.
Right, because we had been kind of brainstorming what Calgary 2019 would look like with all three of us
on board. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, in some respects, you have kind of worked on a publishing schedule where you've just, because you guys are aiming to have this book released and on your table and printed by Calgary Expo 2019, which is not a lofty goal. It sounds like it, but it's really not. I've worked on a 10-day turnaround with books like this, so this is not as stressful, and I actually can rely on it getting done.
There are 2 kinds of metal in this yard: scrap and art. If you got to eat one of them, eat the scrap. What you currently have in your mouth is art.
Can I say the book title?
Is that for sure the end title? Or?
I feel like
You feel like it is?
Yeah, it really, because I don't want to spoil it for you. This has also been a very difficult part of the process because I came in all excited after reading the book and I was like, Justin, do you want to be spoiled? And he said no. So I have to talk around
Yeah.
the book so that he can enjoy it as a reader as well as a creator, essentially. But Gear and C, that encapsulates.
Which I think it works because the and that I've worked into all of my titles for whatever reason, Rust and Water, Cassie and Tonk, Red
Except
and
Dragon
Sea.
Nanny.
I
man.
am, well, yeah.
Dragon and Nanny sounds real stupid.
I think, I'm going to move away from that title paradigm for the next couple books. I didn't mean to do that. It just kind of happened. I like the this and that kind of structure. But, and then... Speaking of deadlines, I'm doing all the illustration for the book as well.
That's right.
So cover, and then we're playing around with the idea of having little silhouette illustrations at the front of every chapter head, which I always liked when books did that. So, and I like doing silhouette work, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and this have you ever done graphic design for just typeset trade books before?
No. I have done a novel cover or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not like the full interior. Like I'm doing the layout, which is different from design work, where I'm just basically, dear listener, laying out a book is not just a matter of hitting a button. It takes several hours for you to, make sure that those words from that Word document go on a page, just in case you thought that maybe. And sometimes I've had clients do this where they quote unquote lay out the Word document. Thinking that that's how it's going to look like in the book. And no. You can't just do that.
Gotta look out for those orphans and widows.
Oh my God. You have to make sure your folios are in place and your colophon is properly formatted
Terms.
and your margins and your gutters. Yeah. That's a whole other episode. But that has been the bulk of my work, actually. I just do it all. I'm the one-man band in Mary Poppins. Still. But anyway, books take a lot of time, not only to write them, but to prepare them and to get them out there.
Which is this a bit of a unique situation, having it's kind of Claire, you, and me putting this together? Is that a pretty small team in comparison to most?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm kind of covering the full-scale editorial, the proofreading, the layout and packaging. You're doing the design work. And also, he's not here, but Gregory's doing stuff too.
He's there.
He's there. When there's development questions, it was kind of funny. He was very resentful of being asked these lore questions. He was like, "You don't need to know that," and I was like, "She has to know. She has to know how it works." And I understand the frustration there, but he has been involved as well. Actually, it was funny. You don't really think about this either, but Claire will be selling this book at her table amongst all of her own novels. And she does this by herself as well. So this is also different for her. This is nice for her that she has said, because she's usually the one doing literally everything with no one's help, except maybe like a subcontractor or two. She does send her books out to be edited by other parties, but she does it all. She manages the logistics, and then she is the person at the table selling the book, which is, it's a lot of work. It's a full-time job. It's very exhausting mentally, in addition to just all the work that goes into it, and having to deal with people coming up to the table asking you these questions.
Right.
So it was very funny when Gregory was just kind of fighting back about, no one needs to know it. The readers don't need to know it. And I was like,
you
listen.
brought up people are going to come up and they're going to demand these answers from Claire, to which I think both Gregor and I responded that we were excited to send everybody Claire's way for all the questions.
Oh my God. Yeah. So let's make her the keeper of the lore that we don't want to tell her about.
That she doesn't need to know.
Yeah. How generous. Also, dear listener, if you've never worked at a convention before, you meet so many wonderful people who are super enthusiastic about your work. And then you meet people who are like, how do the robots work? Why don't you know? Is it because you're a woman? which is something genuinely we have had to deal with. So Claire is literally just arming herself as best as she can against the potential weirdos, which they aren't always a given, but you have to be ready for when they come up, because it is a really great book. It's very engaging and it's very fast paced. And what can kind of happen sometimes in books when you're really focusing on the lore and you're telling, you're not showing, this book doesn't do that. It's just show. It's show through the plot. Here's the world through how people are interacting with it. There aren't these huge swaths of exposition. It's just, this is what's happening. You get right into it in the first chapter. And it really relies more heavily on the relationships and the emotional development of not only the human characters, but the robot characters as well.
So I think, all these stories are kind of short stories, and you need to do that. You can't, you can't spend chapters explaining the mechanics of everything.
Right. And I think like what you touched on is that there is the excitement there for the reader to kind of discover it for themselves and not have their hand held and not be told that this is just how it is. And which is, we love Lord of the Rings and we love Star Wars, but reinvent.
Please.
It's been so many years. We're all different now. We all have different things that we like. Please just grow with the times. But yeah, I'm very excited about this project. I think it's going to be really great.
You are who you choose to be.
As far as this kind of project goes, do you guys foresee doing more like this? Not just in this Gear and C series, but this kind of, you guys have ideas, but you don't have the time to get the book written, drawn, finished, but you would still like to keep it as your IP and develop it.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a natural step. There's only, like, both Greg and I have like a dozen or more books that we'd like to do over the next couple of years, and some of them are very precious and near and dear, and we're very excited to work on them. Some of them not so much, and there's just not enough time. So we started to talk about more and more about bringing in other people to help us get these books done and stuff like that. And this is kind of the first real example of doing this, and it's been working out so well. So I foresee this happening more, and I'm really excited about having this book on my table as well, and being able to push and sell it. And I really think that we're going to reach the goals that we've set in place and make this into trilogy, hopefully, fingers crossed. And hopefully Claire wants that as well.
Yeah. But I mean, what's really interesting, and what a lot of people don't know, are people who like Patterson and trying to think of other authors who it's less, their books are coming out constantly, and it's less that they're writing it. It's more that they've developed an idea and they just have one writer, and it's a different writer every time. And I feel that this world is expansive enough that you could probably build your own stable based on it. But it's a very interesting pivot, because you guys have just been the creators and the artists and the idea people, and now you're kind of expanding into being publishers.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you put it like that.
It's kind of funny. We've had this conversation at the studio quite a lot, where it's like, what are the merits of becoming a publisher? But, we really want to do this where we know so many great artists, we know so many great writers, we want to work with them. But God, publishing stinks in terms of being the publisher. But I think with the way that you guys have done this, you've kind of encapsulated doing it on your own terms without having to rely on the publishing schema, which is, as someone who was trained in traditional publishing and who has seen the industry change, I've also seen what everyone has been afraid of. And as it comes to self-publishing, dear listener, what a lot of people in the traditional publishing realm, like Penguin Random House, HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster, they were always kind of about self-publishing, because, but then you're just going to have all these books flooding the market that aren't high quality. Then that also begs the question, who are you to be the arbiters of quality in terms of the traditional publishing sphere? And that was in, when I started 9 years ago. And now that Amazon has become, and CreateSpace have actually upped their game in terms of distribution, and the people creating the content and using it, people are making their living completely doing this without having to rely on the traditional publishing sphere. Because for many years it was, I'm going to be an author, and you would submit and reject, submit, reject, submit, reject. And then you just be like, well, I guess I'm not going to be an author. And now it's kind of like, I'm going to be an author and do it all myself and screw everyone.
It's a different landscape, but I've kind of viewed it as there's more opportunity for those people to try it on their own, get their bearings, maybe make like a little bit of money on that first or second book, and then they're a lot more prepared and ready to go to, say, a big publisher. Whereas before it was just that big like wall that was unsurmountable. Now self-publishing can kind of help you get in the door and help you get up that wall a bit, so you can hopefully work with those big publishers one day.
It's true. And also the big publishers, to their credit, have they've kind of turned their heads a little bit, because if you have enough gumption to get out there and be like, I'm going to invest a lot of time and a lot of money, and I'm going to take a big reality check pill and go out on my own and build my own brand and essentially build your own company that's based around your own creative work. Publishers see that as you've built a brand and you've done the legwork for them. And a lot of publishers, people will think if I self-publish, I'm never going to be able to be a traditionally published author. But there are plenty of publishers out there who just look at what's selling very well in the self-published arena and scoop it up. And, are like, hey, we'd like to traditionally publish this. And because they see that it has business potential. Yeah,
does that happen often? Like, a publisher wants to sign this author, but then they see that they say, like, for example, Clare has this whole brand and catalog. Would that be a deterrent for a big publisher to pick her up?
I don't think so anymore, because again,
but
it's
at one point that was.
At one point it was, because it's like, oh well, first of all, Claire is also trained as well in the traditional publishing sphere. So the way that she packages and presents herself, she looks like a legitimate
very
entity.
Legit, yeah.
There are a lot of people out there who don't really have a grasp of that. They have big dreams, but the execution is kind of, and they can't really see that. So someone like Claire, she's a viable asset because she's already invested so much time in making herself look legit, that to a publisher, it's like she's built this brand. She obviously has a following, and she's invested so much time in doing self-distribution. And when a publisher comes to a self-published person, they're like, what we can offer you is our big promotional budget, the fact that we can distribute into more stores and more people, and they kind of view it as a partnership. And it sounds like, oh, that's such a beautiful, magical, rosy, skied thing. I'm going to go out and self-publish. It doesn't happen like that for everyone. And it does take, I will just keep saying, it takes a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of, it's just, you don't have a life. But, yes, it is. We all saw it with 50 Shades of Grey. That was a self-published entity. E.L. James is now set for life, however poorly executed her books were, but it did change the landscape. It really just signified that, if you have an idea and you want to get it out there and you do it in a way that actually entices people to buy books, then, it makes you a good prize.
It's magical.
It is magical. When I first kind of started getting closer to you and Gregory in terms of business, it was probably in 2014 when you guys had just launched Cassie and Tonk.
First time we met.
Yeah, and you had done it at this big book festival, which no longer exists.
It was not nearly as big as they promised.
Yeah.
They told us 100,000 people were going to be there.
And 20,000 only came.
No, it was more like 10 to 15.
It was really tough. It was like they were trying to be Canadian Book Expo, and it was just executed very poorly. However, you guys got a taste of actual traditional publishing industry stuff with Cassie and Tonk, because I recall Gregory talking about how there were actual legitimate publishers who were coming up to you and being like, want to make a deal? Your book looks legitimate. Yeah. And that was your first out of the gate.
Yeah,
which
we
must
were
have felt
just
pretty great.
Young and wide-eyed, and yeah.
But for it being a very dead festival, your table was extremely busy, and you were also in a weird place.
We kind of
you're
stuck
shoved
in a corner.
In the back,
yeah.
But the lineup to get those free sketches and this big beautiful robot book.
We hadn't even figured out the free sketches as much. We were just drawing in the books.
Yeah,
which I think helped a lot. We've learned a lot of tricks since. Actually, yeah. Speaking of the free sketches, we recently did a signing at Chapters last weekend, and our new trick. Feel free to steal this, guys. is we do a book signing at a bookstore, which a lot of people walking through kind of avoid those tables because, it's just an interaction where you're trying to sell them something. So how we've kind of gotten around that is we put up a big sign saying free sketches. And we have a bunch of scrap paper, and little kids will come up and we'll offer to draw them dragons, robots. I've gotten really good at unicorns over the last couple of years. And so we just sit around, we draw free pictures for kids. And while we're drawing, if they want to check out the books, that's fine. If not, they get a free sketch and they take off. And that's a customer for later, we always think. But it just creates this crowd around us and a buzz. And we don't have to really try to sell hard. We're just putting on a bit of a show. And that really does translate to them taking a chance on the books and usually picking one up. So it was, it's really, we've gotten good at that trick.
That trick.
That trick. We've fooled a lot of people.
Dear listeners, this is how Justin scams. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just a pile of scrap paper. You guys are just kind of just like, here you go.
We used, when the graphic novels arrive, they're in boxes and they are cushioned by the guts of misprinted. It's a French novel of some kind or a French textbook.
It's always or like a French dictionary, something like that.
Yeah. So it's the misprinted. So we have actually started using those as our scrap paper for sketches. So
wow.
Yeah. Recycling.
Yes, we're helping the environment by doing a commerce. Mm-hmm. Yes, so there are all kinds of angles that you guys have been working for so many. Yeah, so it's been 5 years since Cassie and Tonk came out.
Because it was in February, I think.
It was in November 2014.
Was it? Oh yeah, you're right.
Yes, and I immediately thought that Justin did not like me. I remember. I was just like, well, screwed the pooch on that one. He's just really
and I thought
won't talk to me.
You were a big deal in publishing, so I was just being I was scared.
Now we just work together hatefully. Just a lot of mean banter, and that's just the natural progression of a work relationship.
That's how things work.
And that's what this episode has been all about. Well, we do miss Gregory. Or do we?
Yeah.
Talking about change, there's going to be some changes around here at Super Pulp Science. Namely, he's out, and I'm in.
We can pull some great pranks on his stuff, and he won't hear this episode until he's back, so he won't know.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, good.
On the to-do list for the rest of the day.
Well, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone on the spectrum, this has been Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. Go out there, join the fight, and make comics. Or books.